Greetings, Diski lovers. Welcome to another episode of the Sisonke Diski Chat right here on the Vodacom platform. My name is Len Moleko. And obviously, you know, we sit down, we talk about various Diski topics, conversations. And if you want to get more details with regards to everything that has to do with everything with regards to Vodacom Soccer, don't hesitate. You can follow us on Twitter at Vodacom Soccer is our handle. And getting straight into today's conversation, I am joined by two gentlemen who have played soccer at the highest level. I'm talking about legends. I'm talking about people that you used to cheer for on the stands. And I'm going to get straight to them. I'm going to start with Brian Baloyi, Spiderman, former Kaizer Chiefs goalkeeper. And in the middle right here next to me, I've got Dikgang Mabalane, Terminator, former Orlando Pirates midfielder. Gentlemen, welcome to the Sisonke Diski Chat.
Sure, thanks, man.
Thanks very much.
Sure. Tabran. So we see now that whatever has happened. Fans are not able to go to the stadium, and I'm sure many of them, like I only wish I was at the stadium. With having said that, what do you think that does to the players when they step onto the field? And they're hoping maybe this is all a dream, but or no, like I didn't see. The fans are not there. What do you think it does to them psychologically?
Yeah, I can only imagine. I think in my career, I must have had, I played about 1 or 2 games where, our fans had, done something and then, they were suspended. It's not a good feeling. And I think the Khan can attest to that. When you beginning of the season, when you're preparing, for the season, when you're playing practice matches, you're playing practice matches without anyone. The impact is not the same. So I can imagine how difficult it is.
Yeah.
And some of us, we were feeding off the energy of the fans. So I think being on the field there, it's not just about just being there. I think there's a lot that the fans bring to the plate, especially the energy. There's times where chips are down, and you can hear the fans now cheering, swinging, and and it reminds you that you have to play for something. You have to play for these people. You have to up your game. So I can imagine how difficult it is. I wouldn't want to. Be in this situation, especially, if it's only 1 or 2 games, now having to play for so long. From the bio bubble, I think it was difficult. Now again, having to play. And again, I think there's one thing that I always been, saying, talking to my friends, I'd say, there's players, I think the Khan can tell you that there are players that in training, they would be like brilliant. And then next day, they can't perform because of the fans. So such players, I think, they're happy. You find it's most of them that are doing well.
Dikgang, something very interesting that I've noticed, I think I've seen it with Kaizer Chiefs. I've also seen it with Orlando Pirates. Mautiba Kena, obviously get out of the tunnel. And then Abafeta are all the formalities of standing next to each other, taking photos and whatever. Bashabadi stand empty. Batla love and peace. Batla the Bagania side. Is that a psychological thing to sort of like get yourself rallied up, even though no, the fans are not there, or Batla hating you, or like obviously every game after everything's done, reds are so.
Yeah, just before I answer that, I think Brian Ugaro, he read my mind. Exactly what he spoke about, the player. Because there's 2 sides to it.
Yeah.
There's the good side and the bad side. But totally bullying, especially about players, Vodacom training and all of those things. Coming back to your question, I think it's more of a formality. It's culture also. I think when you've had something going on throughout history as a team, as players, it becomes a norm. It becomes part of you. So if alleviated, then something feels like it's missing. It's part of the confidence. It's part of the culture going into the game psychologically. Let's change a lot.
Yeah.
When you are a team, it's uniformity as well. everything, what works for you, what's been there as culture. So I think more than anything, it has to do with culture and the history of the team. So it's been done. So why change it? And yeah, it's that's how it works. I believe.
I'm going to touch on what Brian said about 1 minute go training mnate. Match day was wagala in. So if you have a situation whereby the teams now obviously have a train and throughout time, la trainer, I defend. Hale gaming, now you find yourself with a situation where there are no fans. Do you not apply the same mentality yako training? Lao yako gaming, yes, we know the impact they have, but does that not work in your favor? Because what I mean, you did it the whole week. Go training was never to go gaming via to just carry on from where you left off.
Yeah, but I think with this situation, I mean, there's a whole lot of players that you would see playing for Pirates is not the same as playing for Vets or playing for Supersport. When there's fans, you make one mistake, they put pressure on you. So playing for, more especially for these two teams, is that there's a lot of pressure that comes with it, and so you have to have nerves of steel to be able to play for these teams. And you can imagine, Soccer City, FNB, 80, 90,000 people. Sometimes the coach can be shouting. Sometimes sometimes anyway.
The instructions it's not like code training. Things change. It becomes a totally different thing.
Instructions they'll give, but they change.
You have a good excuse.
But yeah, I mean, I think. It's like I said, I think this is one of the most difficult times to play professional sports, especially to play football. I mean, I think over the weekend in the Premiership in England, they allowed 2,000 fans.
Yeah,
and even that 2,000, you could see how even the players, were happy and appreciated that. And so I think playing without fans is not a good feeling.
And I think also trying to add on it, it's a huge part of the game. The supporters, the fans, in a sense that it's not only they are there to support players only. There's more to it also. As they call them, the spiritual owners, of the team as well. So I think for me, there's more to it. It comes with the, House na defend. Brian said it as well. But just to add, House na defend. There's also that bit of Ushota. The energy is not there. The spirit is not there. The players, you need that support. I think there's that huge aspect of the game that is not there when the supporters are not there, even if you can't touch it, but it's those intangible things where you just need it to be there. It's been part of the game throughout, the football history. So you can't have the game and not have the spirit of the game, there, which is the support base. So that's also a huge thing. But I understand there's the economic factor coming into it as well. Clubs want to make money. There's that element, there's that side of things where you need to make money. With support, but I think that's only a small part of it. I think more than anything, without the fans, there's no football.
Because they
goes hand in hand.
Yeah, they are the spirit of
it just
of
goes
the
hand
team.
in hand. Football without fans is just baseless. It's empty.
Like the stadiums now.
You can imagine. You can see when you lose in a derby with the fans.
Yeah,
the impact is different. When you lose without the fans. You can see sometimes the players, that impact is not even winning. I mean, I can imagine winning a trophy and there's no fan. I know Badala music, Kadipika, Badala the crowds,
The sound effects,
the sound effects, but it's not the same. You want to see them. There's a lot that happens there.
Yes. It's part of the game.
It's part of the game, you know. That fuels you, you know. Then you know, hey, I want to prove him wrong. You know, they cheer you and you want to do better. So there's a lot of.
I was gonna actually touch on that element. Okay, they fuel you on whatever. I wish ever known. Say you are a player who maybe your nerves are not the nerves of steel. Ne? Is this a good opportunity to show exactly what you are made of, or going back to Dikkang's point earlier on? You can't have Diski and not know how to deal with the pressures that come from the fans.
I think, like I said, it's an opportunity for most of the players that are scared to play with crowds. And I've played, you know, in my 20 years of professional, almost every season there's a player that you'd know just in training. You look at the stuff he does. And you think, this is one of the best players I've ever seen. He goes on the field, he switches off. And sometimes you think, maybe it's a once-off. And it happens 2-3 times. Then you find the fans want this player. But when this player plays, he switches off. And the next thing, season finishes, he goes to a smaller team. You know, and it's because of the fans.
Yeah, it's the effect of the fans. I think also when you think about it as the supporters, for some players, if you're in the game and hauna pressure, you know, I think it works for teams as well, not only individual players. Lead teams, you know, when you have a game so where there are no fans. You know, the so-called small teams, you know, I respect with due respect. But if you have teams like that, now when the playing field is level, now you see them rising up. Their level, their performance rise up. And we know those teams, you know, where you start seeing now the team is getting results, is performing at a level. Because now, like we did mention, that the effect of the fans also affect them as well, you know. When Chiefs or Pirates is another small team.
Another team.
And then, you know, Chiefs Yakora. Or, I mean, we intimidate teams by just going into the field. Just getting in the field and then the support goes crazy. For me, I used to say to some of my friends who ask me questions, how does it feel? I tell them, sometimes when we play against teams, we win the game before we even play.
Get onto the field.
We get on the field and the support goes. And I can see my opposition, the players sitting, getting, they're a bit intimidated. By then, psychologically, it's a ruined. You know?
I mean, like the derby, when you go into the field, when you get off the bus, when you go inspect the field, there's only maybe about 8,000-10,000 people. The stadium is fairly empty at that time. Maybe it's relaxed. You go in. When you come back for the warm-up, now the stadium is almost 2.5. And now you can start, you feel the energy. By the time you come on the field, when you're going to play, so the energy, plays a big part. And I think hopefully by the time, the second round, the derby comes, is that maybe hopefully, we have, even if not the whole stadium, but we have
20%, 80%.
80%.
And the one question, you just touched a bit on it, Dikgang. What goes through your mind the minute you get out of the tunnel? And we're talking about Soweto derby, 80,000 people. You've been there. You get out of the tunnel, forget the warm-ups, forget the pitch inspection. No, you look line up before the formalities are done and the game starts. Everybody is screaming, the headphones are gone. Like you can hear the noise now. What goes through your mind at that particular time?
I think, they always ask, do you get nervous when you get into the game? There's always that, it's not even being nervous, it's adrenaline. Yeah, it kicks in and then, you just want to get in and touch the ball a few times and then, you acclimatize, you get into the game. But I think it's always that rush of blood and adrenaline goes, happens just seconds before the game. But I think it's a good feeling when you just hear the sound, everything. I'm from a small team. I used to play for Cosmos, and then you go and you play for a team like Pirates. There's a huge difference. How can I go fielding, Cosmos again? I mean, there are fans, but the effect is not the same. Now you go into a team like this, where it's like the subwoofer and everything. It's here. You cannot. I can't hear you. Yeah.
Your first touch, vuvuzela, then it goes to your head. Sometimes you're confused.
And for you, it was probably worse because Molin thing as a goalkeeper, like because at least for Dikgang, he's able to run around on the field. When and you can almost hear everything. Concentration wise, are you able to or is there an effect you can listen to some part of the noise that they make to obviously give you that fuel, give you that energy, or do you completely block it out?
I used to get into something I called getting into the zone.
Yeah.
So I would start it from the bus going on to, by the time you get into the dressing room, you start psyching yourself up. And so by the time I go on the field, when I'm totally in the zone, I don't think of anything else but, on the field. I block it out. So that's how I used to. So that's why, even you would make, and football, mistakes are part of the game.
Yeah.
So if you are not able to block it out and stuff like that, you make one big mistake in a game, and you start, the whole game now you're thinking about it, you're going to make more mistakes.
Yes.
But if you know how to block it out and forget about it, then you are able to recover, within the game. So I just used to get into the zone. And, when you are on the side with the Bucks fans, I was lucky, I had a whole lot of Bucks fans that loved me. The only places that I never really liked to go to, when I was just Bloemfontein, because the whole 90 minutes, and they follow you to the other side.
And you hear everything, because so you hear everything, close to you.
Yeah.
But it's like we say, it's part of the game. You learn to switch off, and I think involuntarily as well. It just happens that gaming, the intensity of the game, the focus, like anyone who works, when you get into your zone, everything else shuts down, and you shut off from everything else and you focus on the game. So you even for a second forget, because you too focused on the game.
Focused on the game. Yeah. But if we score 1-2, I go now talk to them.
So speaking about that, we've seen since the bio bubble started up until now the games are going. Do you feel that factor? You just touched on it earlier on. The factor your home ground advantage, it's not there.
Yeah, it doesn't really work now. Because the home ground advantage, it was always about the fans. At home, then you'd have the fans. So Honano, I don't think really there is any advantage of having a home game.
But surely for big teams like Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, every stadium pretty much, except for Bloemfontein, every stadium pretty much in the country is a home stadium. How then do we look at that home ground advantage going away? Because if you look at it, like you say, the fans are not there, and suddenly, you mentioned it earlier on, Dikgang, suddenly the other small teams up their game, and now they're on the same level, if not better, than the big teams that have thousands and thousands of fans.
Yeah, the advantage, obviously now advantage is to the smaller teams. And I think you can see it even in other leagues that are playing without the fans. The advantage kind of goes to the smaller teams. I was surprised. I love AC Milan. I was surprised that they're on top. I can bet my last dollar that part of it is because of there's no fans. There's no, most of the players they have it's not your big players. So it's just most you'll see even in here in our league, most of the smaller teams you'll see they always will give the big 3-4 problems.
We can see now that some of them are there and thereabout, close to the top, but we're not going to mention who. It's okay. In terms of attacking football, I get the fans are there, they rally you up. If the chips are down or and you hear those vuvuzelas, you're like, get about 15 minutes, let me give it everything that I have. Let's attack. Let's the fans are not there. Yes, you might know they're watching at home, but by virtue of them not being there, whatever how should I say the vuvuzela just goes crazy. That element is not there. Do you think it's stealing away from attacking football and the energy that the guys are putting into their game, or not really has changed in regards to that?
I think because football is entertainment, it's about atmosphere as well. Being there. Hence, you pay your tickets to go to the stadium. It's an arena, So people go there, they experience it. The participants, the players themselves as well, feel the adrenaline, feel the energy as well. So for me, I think yes, it makes a difference when you want to entertain, do your skills, your whatever. There are players like that that actually thrive on doing those skills, and then they get the cheers and the support. I think they're missing that as well.
Yeah.
So now that's also missing. So there's a lot that is missing. It is a huge factor. That we don't have the fans and the support. But another thing is that with players, even now, what I like, in fact, the positive thing about it is that you start seeing the young ones now. They don't get that intimidated by the support as well, because they can't handle the pressure kind of going when Ntwananyani is not having a good game and stuff like that. So now they can adjust themselves. Even if he makes a mistake, he can recover quickly from it. So those elements of the game for young players, I think now we're starting to see Ntwananyani. They are coming up. How many players we didn't even know about?
Yeah.
Bobomang. Now they're coming out because of this. So there's both sides of a way of looking at it.
Almost in wrapping up, Sharp, we've seen league games, we've seen other teams playing in cup finals. There's obviously cup finals that are coming up in the season. When you go into a game, as a league game, whatever, league game is it's a campaign, it's 30 games, you can recover maybe somewhere after a couple of games in Yana. But a cup final, once off, no fans, and you go to a stadium like a FNB, like a Moses Mabhida Stadium, where the last time you were there, it was a final. Do you take the same mentality, or do you switch your mentality on some, okay, if finally we know it's a once-off versus a league game, taking into account atmosphere?
Atmosphere, but when you play for Chiefs Pirates, every game is a cup final. Because, each team will have to be playing against. Those players that side, they want to impress, they want to come play for Chiefs or Pirates. So that's why they lift their game. So when you play for Chiefs or Pirates, you can never afford, to let your guard down. And so then it becomes, I think it's an opportunity for players to reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
And to find new ways of really motivating yourself in this atmosphere. If you're a player, I think that's about Brasteni, it's sugar. Then they have to find a way of how do you motivate yourself, but still do what you do when there's fans. I think again maybe with some of the guys, team members that are there in the stands, but to Sanyana sometimes but it's not enough.
No.
But yeah, I think like I said, a lot of, and again it has a big effect on the national team as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not an easy situation to be in.
And in closing, this question goes to the both of you. I'll start with Dikgang. Any young footballer who's watching Sisonke Diski Chat, who's playing professionally or they're playing in the reserve leagues for Chiefs or for Pirates, as obviously they are the big teams in the country, what advice would you give them in terms of the situation that they're currently facing and prepping themselves for the time, when the time comes rather, when they'll probably be facing 50, 60,000 fans?
Just to be sure, are you talking about the players current that are in the team?
Yes.
In the first team?
Yes.
Okay. I think this is the best opportunity, you know, for them. It presents a platform for them to, you know, say, without the pressure, like we've mentioned, without, you know, all that intimidation. For them, I think they should be now taking advantage. By all means, express yourself now,
Yeah.
you know. Yes, you will be hearing the coach shouting at you now more clearly, and TV. It's a bit, yeah. But I think this is the best time now because there's no pressure like the pressure when everyone is watching, all eyes are on you. So for me, it's, you know, it's more like training. I'm sure they're used to him shouting at training. So take it like that. This is the best opportunity to be, you know, expressing yourself, showing your talent, and I think take it with both hands.
And from you, Brian?
Yeah, I think exact same thing. I think for me is that it's an opportunity for these young players to showcase their talent and to, if you get a chance, grab it with both hands. Don't look back. And I think if you take your opportunity now and you get used to being in the team, when things open up, fans come in, by that time you're already used to playing, and you know, with the players you are already used to you know, the coach shouting or whatever, you know, so by that time you are almost, you know, you are halfway in. And again, this is an opportunity for most of these young players. If you do well, it's always a known fact, you know, most of the time if you do well playing for Chiefs, chances or Pirates, chances of you playing, being called up for the national team, almost, you already have 1 foot in there, you know, 50%. Most of the young players that are, I mean, we've qualified for the Olympics. It's not cast in stone that such players are going. There's a whole lot of players, you know, Pirates, young players that can still, you know, make a late, you know, search and to be in the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the opportunity. They must just drop it with both hands.
And Brian, one thing I think actually let this, you know, I notice. I understand people have different views about expressing yourself, all of those things. But I think more than anything important for these youngsters, we want to be entertained. This is play your identity of football. The way South African football is, do not lose it. But at the same time, we are not saying be reckless with the ball, be, you know, no end product.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that we have an identity. All these other countries, Neymars, you can name them, your Messi's or whoever, they express themselves first and then they add on top what the coach wants and everything. So for me, we are losing that. And this is what I think I wanted to say about, you know, these youngsters also that are coming in. Express yourself first, because it's no point when you play and you're not enjoying football.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you can do. So that's how I started as a Cosmos. I expressed myself. No instructions when I started playing.
Yeah.
And again, like it says, I mean, if there's 3 of you playing the same position, if you're all playing according to the coach's instruction, so you're going to be robots. You are all the same. You always have to have a differentiator. You have to have something that is unique about you, and so you have to be how do you become creative responsibly, you know, helping the team and helping yourself.
Yeah.
And again, I think if there's one thing I think a lot of these youngsters today don't do a lot, is you know, practicing and scoring from set pieces.
Yeah.
That's what I can tell the young boys. Practice them. That's an opportunity. I mean, if you're an attacking midfield, I always say, an attacking midfield, in a season you must score 10 goals. If you practice your free kicks, score 5 from set pieces, score 5 from open play. That's 10 goals, you know. So I would say they must just get the opportunity with both hands.
Bapa ke di vurpa after training and ke di polo tse 20 da Aisha di free kick.
Instagram, yes, and the one thing again, like he says, I think they rely so much on the training they're getting from the team. They're not doing stuff on their own. You have to work on your craft. You know, so you have to work on your craft. We used to have, we were always friends with other players. We grew up together. We playing for different teams. But when you are, when you're all off, you take balls, you go, you train together. So these are things that these boys, they must do. Most of them now, if they're doing anything extra, they go gym, they go vision active. Go ground or
yes.
If there's no other, you don't have friends, work on your craft.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Brian Spiderman Baloyi, Dikgang Terminator Mabalane, thank you very much for joining us on the Sisonke Diski Chat. And you at home as well, thank you very much for joining us for episode 3 of the Sisonke Diski Chat right here on our Vodacom platform. And don't forget, if you want more details with regards to competitions that we're running like Halftime Scamto, don't hesitate to follow at Vodacom Soccer, because all the details will be placed there. Otherwise, we will see you on the next episode. Until then, Sisonke.